And action. Welcome to the August 24th meeting of the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville. For our Zoom members, there you are. We are very happy that you can join us. Please remember to mute yourself and submit any questions or comments. Our speaker today, you will have them via chat, or unmute yourself and let us hear from you. Great to see so many people with us today. Our greeter was Steve Madden, and we thank you, Steve. The prayer and pledge today will be given by Mark Barillo.
Please don't judge me. I forgot my jacket. Judge Wilkinson's job to remind me. Let us bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, we thank you for allowing us to gather together today and share fellowship over this meal. Please bless this meal in the hands that prepared it. Watch over the men and women protecting us and our nation, both here and abroad. We pray for those caught up in wars across our globe and in natural disasters in Haiti and elsewhere. We come through this terrible pandemic as a nation and across the globe, and in your name we pray. Amen. Let's now pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we are headed into family time with Christy King. Christy, there you
Yes,
are.
thanks, President Richard. So we don't have any birthdays this week, so we'll start with wedding anniversaries. We have one. President Richard Dow and his wife Melissa are celebrating 41 years of marriage on August 28th. For member anniversaries, Mary Alice Felon is celebrating 29 years with Rotary on August 25th. I'm celebrating 7 years with Rotary on August 26th, and Parker Shields is celebrating 2 years on August 27th. And in baby news, Meredith Porter and her husband Paul are expecting their third child, and the gender will be revealed when baby Porter arrives in early December.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, President Richard.
Very well, thank you. Our past president history talk is given by past President Bill Jaycox. Please, past President Bill.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So I'm not giving a past president talk. I'm not old enough to have been past long enough for you not to know what happened already in my year. I'm giving a craft talk, right? So this is Architecture 101, the first 5 minutes of what everybody needs to know about architects. How many people have ever hired an architect to do anything? Okay. How many of you hired Dean instead of me? Okay. I already know who you are. I got your name. Don't worry about it. It goes on an international list, by the way, just so you know. So I'm an architect. Been an architect for 35 years at least. Went to Clemson. I have a master's degree in architecture. My middle year of grad school, I went to Italy and studied architecture in Italy in Genoa for a year, and traveled everywhere. Had kind of an interesting program at Clemson. They didn't have a partnership with another university. They owned a villa, and the villa held 10 students. And you got selected to go to study architecture. You lived in the villa, and we said, we're going to, the Eiffel Tower. We just went to the Eiffel Tower. And then we came back and talked about it, or we went to Pisa, or we went to Rome, or we went to Florence. So it was pretty interesting. And I worked for the Haskell Company for 5 years right out of college. That's what brought me here. I'm originally from Ocala. And I worked there for 5 years, did 100 projects. My peers did 2, working at a traditional architecture firm. And then I wisened up and realized that you didn't have to do 100 projects in 5 years. You could actually do 1 or 2 nice ones instead of 1,000, right? So I went out on my own, and now I've been on my own for 33 years. I've ranged from 6 to 10 employees. We do mostly houses and hospitals. Odd combination, but the housing market goes like this, and the hospital market does the opposite, or just continues. I'd be out of business if I just did houses. It's not stable, as you all understand now, right? With the cost of construction up 300%, probably not too keen about doing a project right now, are you? So I've been married 33 years to my wife, Mary. Same Mary, there's not more than one Mary. I've got 3 kids. I've got a daughter that is 31. She lived in LA for the last 10 years, and during COVID, she moved home, and now she's staying. So she lived 2 houses down from me in San Marco, which is great. She's married. And so I finally have one that's home. I have a daughter, Shannon, who's 29. She lives in Toronto. She's now Canadian. My wife's Canadian, by the way, so my kids have dual citizenship. And so Shannon's now Canadian. I don't know if she's got an American passport or not anymore, but she's in Toronto and she's staying. And my son is 26 and is getting ready to join the Navy, we think. He lives with me, us.
It's always the better choice of the Army, just saying.
Yeah, well, we'll see what he finally ends up doing. My middle daughter, Shannon, the Canadian one, is a oh my God, a social worker. That's what we call her. She's a social worker. Sees patients in the psychological arena, mostly with brain injuries from auto accidents and things. Counsels them on how to get their life in order and, that sort of thing. And my oldest daughter's got the most interesting job, the one from LA. She works for a big PR firm in LA. They're the 2 most powerful women in the PR business in the nation. And they represent movie stars and TV stars and brands and all kinds of stuff. And her last thing that she did from home here was that she was the main PR person on the BET Awards, which just happened. And last year she hosted the BET Awards, was PR for it virtually, which was the first virtual one ever, right? And then all the other events were virtual, were all based on that one since it was so successful. They called her back again to do it this year, and this one was live. So she did the first virtual one and the first live one back again. So pretty interesting job. She won't tell us anything about what the scoop is going on in the world, but I got a funny story for you and then I'll get out of here. So she represents LL Cool J. Don't ask me how or what she represents about him, but she represents him. And I said, would you call him Mr. LL or Mr. Cool J or whatever? She goes, no, we call him Todd. That's his name. His name's Todd something, right? So in a meeting, he's LL Cool J to all of you. And she goes, no, we just call him Todd. That's his name. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, so that's me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Okay.
Was that no public? No, you're alligator. Oh, yeah, no. You still out? No.
Announcements for you very quickly. Do not forget, please do not forget to order your Rotary shirt. Email Patty with your size and choice of shirt or shirts. You can view the shirt options in this week's edition of the Gear or on our website or our DACDB homepage. I don't think that I said the word shirt enough in that announcement, but I'll let it go. Our September 21st meeting is a special club meeting, as you may already have read, and fellowship for members only and about membership. Please plan to participate in this meeting in person if at all possible. You'll get more out of it, and You'll be, I think, pleasantly surprised at the content and the quality. Patty is away with family today, as you've probably guessed. We wish her well and look forward to her returning next week. Harlan Bose, past president, is with us today to introduce visitors and guests.
That would be bossed like lost.
That's how I remember it.
Good afternoon. We have three special guests with us today. Tom Signorella, how about leading us off?
Hey, happy to, that's President Boss. With me today is one of my dear friends. She is actually my doctor. This is Dr. Dalton Tolliver, doctor of chiropractic, practices right here in San Marco, and just adjacent to the new Publix that's going in. First time coming to Rotary, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Tolliver.
William Harrell, please introduce your very special.
I have my wife for 55 years, Barbara Harrell.
Well, thank you. We're delighted to have you. And Lori Whitner has a virtual guest.
Yes, so today I have my friend and also co-worker at JDA, Delphine Maiden. She's a master black belt at JDA.
Welcome, Dr. Did I overlook anyone? Shall we strike up a song? We Rotary welcome you today. So glad you came along, glad you came our way. Our hand of fellowship is yours, sunshine. We here in Rotary say welcome, come again.
Richard is a voice.
Oh,
A voice.
so I got Harlan's name wrong. Let's see what else I can do today. Actually, it is my privilege to introduce to you Martha Barrett, who will present to us our honored guest today.
Thank you. Mr. President, first of all, I compliment Daniel Davis. Two very classy men are here, both working for him at the chamber. That's Andre and of course Greg. Where is Greg? There you are, Greg Anderson. They hire well over there. Two wonderful men. I'm here to introduce Aundra Wallace. And let me just say, I'm not going to deal with this. I just want to say that I've known him for a number of years at the chamber. And I've been involved with the chamber. I've been on all the leadership trips. I've watched him. And he's just a class act. He knows economic development. He came here to be the director of the Downtown Investment Authority in 2013. And then he went on to the chamber in about 2018. And he is the president of Jax USA, which is the economic development part of the chamber, which is a very important part of the chamber. And I can see where Andre, who's bright, he's smart, he's sophisticated, and I just think he always has and will represent Jacksonville so well. He has a political science degree and a master's degree. And I just think that we're very fortunate today to really know what is really going on in Jacksonville and all the things. And Andre, thank you so much. I know you're a very busy man, so thank you for coming today.
Martha, thanks for having me, everyone. I think I'm going to take this off your hands. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for allowing me some time to talk to you about the region's economic development arm known as Southjax-USA. What I really want to talk about is our business climate and forecast in terms of what we're seeing. And pleasure to have my colleague Greg Anderson here. It's interesting to have Greg be your boss at one city council, giving grief going through the budget process, which is happening right now in the city, to actually having Greg come over and work with you and bring his banker hat. And we're like polar opposites in terms of Greg's checks every box from a conservative nature. And I'm like, let's just go do it. So, you always got to have somebody on the team to make sure that you check all the boxes. And Greg, I want to say it's a pleasure to have you join us at Southjax-USA itself. Southjax-USA, what do we do? Reason why I got out of government is I enjoy working behind the scenes. And that's what I really talk about Southjax-USA and the ability to attract businesses to this region. There's no accident that Amazon is here. There's no accident that Wayfair is here. There's no accident that Boeing is here. There's no accident that Northrop Grumman is in this region. So there's no accident that Deutsche Bank is here. They're all companies that Southjax-USA has played a hand in recruiting those respective companies here to this region. And if someone is a region, companies just don't necessarily come to you. Now, I will talk to you about some numbers here, and I want you to understand the following. Jacksonville is no longer unknown. People know who you are. They know your region. So as you begin to look at the various different subdivisions and housing subdivisions in this region holistically, you will see a number of different cars that have out of state that soon become Floridian plates. So that means people are moving here. 900 people move into the state of Florida every day. About 8.5% of that 900 number moves into your region. So you've got somewhere between 70 and 85 people moving in this region every day. That's reflected in our census status numbers in terms of how we've grown from 2010 to 2020. As my mother would say in Wrightsville, Georgia, that ain't gonna change no time soon. Okay, so I want you to, let's get used to it. Let's just get used to change the way that we are. Professional staff of 15 people. We focus on the business recruitment side. And that is, as I indicated, recruiting the businesses, the expansion. We don't just want to get you here. We want the company to expand in this region equally as well. The marketing that goes on to let people, talented individuals know about this region, as well as letting companies know about this region. It doesn't just happen. We're actually out there doing it. So if you're looking online and seeing things about Jacksonville, there's a lot of times we're driving that particular traffic through Southjax-USA. The business intelligence. If you don't know your business better than anybody else, then you're not going to be successful. And that's how we feel at Southjax-USA. We know our region. We know it from a talent perspective. We know it from the companies here. We know about their growth plans. We know everything from a business standpoint that you need to know. And we pester you a lot. We call you. We try to find out information so that we are up to speed as others are coming into this marketplace, so that we know the business intelligence side and the growth for us. Talent development. That's the war that's going on. You can talk about companies and things of that nature. If you don't have a talent pool, you will not get companies coming to your particular region. So that statement I said that people are going to keep coming here, companies are going to keep coming here, it's that talent aspect. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. Foreign direct investment, we deal with companies, whether it's UK, whether it's entire Europe, whether it's China-based companies, South and Central America, equal as well, looking to set up shop here. We're the facilitator for that. And we deal with a lot of community initiatives in terms of connecting the community to the economic development ecosystem for this region. It's not enough for Greg and team to go out and attract jobs if nobody knows where the actual jobs are. So we have to make sure there's that direct link to where the jobs are and what is the upskill. If you don't know that, Lisa Marie, you can go over to Kaiser and get upskilled for these particular jobs, then we're not doing our actual jobs itself. So that's what we do with Southjax-USA. So regional partners, 7 counties that make up Northeast Florida, from Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, Putnam, Clay, and Baker, they're all regional partners for us, as well as all of our independent authorities. JEA, the airport, Transportation Authority, the port itself, as well as Enterprise Florida, as well as Career Source. They are all partners for Jax USA, along with FP&L. Because at the end of the day, for JEA and FP&L, it's all about utilities and being able to get operational. That's why we have to have those partners. So from a partnership function, what do we offer all those particular partners, particularly the counties? Again, it's the confidential recruitment aspect, the assistance. No company is going to make a decision about relocating if it's going to play out in public. They're just not going to do it. So they have with us to have conversations confidentially about whether or not they want to move to Jacksonville, or go to Orlando, versus if they want to go to Tampa. I don't know why they want to go to Orlando. I don't know why they want to go to Tampa. They should just all come to Jacksonville. But I got to sign an NDA anyway to compete. And so that's why it's important that we have that confidentiality for the prospects. It's about the relationships with the site consultants. As sitting there near Martha and Barbara, I have 2 telephones. All right, there's a 904 area code and there's a 313 area code. But you can get me either one of them. But that's 20 to 25 years of working around this country, community economic development, that I've got contacts. And those people ring that particular phone and we're able to have conversations because we do it confidentially about coming to this particular region. Marketing, again, I can't stress that enough. Marketing is totally different. It's no longer just print ad. It is social media driven. How are we out there talking about our region from a social media aspect? Again, the business intelligence, the workforce development, but also on the public policy side. And I'll talk a little bit about public policy. I try to say that chamber, public policy, Daniel Davis. Business to business, Aundra Wallace. However, there are times that we do have to get involved in public policy, particularly if we feel like it's going to impede upon your business being able to operate at its maximum level. And we will get involved in public policy that way. So in this order, most of the time people want to focus on the very last thing you see on the screen, which is incentives, because that's what's getting written in the newspaper. This company got X, Y, and Z. You can't even get to that conversation if you do not have the workforce skills and availability from a cost perspective. The company needs to know that they're going to be able to find the skilled labor if they decide to come to your region over Orlando, over Tampa, over Nashville, Atlanta, and Charlotte. If you don't have the talent at a cost availability perspective that makes sense for them, you don't even get to the second factor, which is building and sites. 860 square miles just for Jacksonville, and then you take the entire region itself. You got plenty of land, the ability to build what you want from a site perspective. However, what they really want to know from the building and sites, do I have to build it? Is the product already there? Can we actually move in? How soon can we get up and be operational? And is it cheaper to operate in Jacksonville than it is in Tampa, Orlando, Atlanta, Nashville, and Charlotte? That's what they really want to know. If you can pass these 2 factors, then we can do what I like to say, showcase our quality of life in Northeast Florida, which I feel like is better than any of the other regions. And I spent 12 years in Miami, so I can tell you, I like it here. A whole lot better. All right. Spent 4 years freezing my behind off and the chart equally as well. This is way better. So the quality of life really gets into play here, because when I talk about the quality of life, you really want to get to know those site consultants and the company, because if the company cares about its employees, I firmly believe that this is the best quality of life for them. Nowhere else can any region in this entire state say that they've got 5 of the top 25 school for 67 counties. 5 of our school districts are in the top 25. 3 of our school districts are top 10. And we have the #1 school district. So when you care about your employees and you care about family, you want to be in Northeast Florida from that standpoint, for being able to raise a family. You can get any type of living that you want, whether it's beach, urban, suburban, rural. You can fish, saltwater, freshwater, do whichever way you want to do it. You can play golf year round, you can get hunting, whatever it is. I tell people you can do whatever you want to right here in Northeast Florida. from a quality of life standpoint. When you talk about speed and certainty of regulation from a government standpoint, city, county, consolidated government in Jacksonville means only one mayor I got to talk to and work our way through city council. I know there's 19, but I count the 10 very well, so I only consider just getting 10 votes. Sometimes you may have to have that extra one just in case Greg changes his mind on me at the last minute. But nevertheless, getting to 10 is basically what you have to do. What's also important is we enjoy a very good relationship in Tallahassee with the governor's office. So when you start talking about different regions, being able to say to an executive, we really only got to make 2 phone calls to the city and to the state, and be in a position from a speedy standpoint to make a decision, they really enjoy that. So from the business environment, from a cost standpoint, it's cheaper to do business here. And then we get down to incentives. That's the last thing we really work on. It can take some time because, of course, everybody wants to get the best deal. We want to put as less incentives on the table, and they want to get as many incentives as they possibly can. But at the end of the day, if we don't get through all these other factors, we never get to an incentive conversation.
Okay.
I need people to understand the process of how we do what we do. This wheel of economic development, there's about 10 different factors that go into economic development. Whether it's, developing workforce, whether it's work with small businesses, investing in downtowns, infrastructure, transporting people and products, educating the next workforce, attracting your talent, travel, arts, culture, and entertainment. All of these 10 factors goes into economic development. So your team at Jax USA has over 150 years experience in doing some factors of this wheel of economic development itself. That is why I believe if I'm playing baseball, and people like to say, if you're batting over 300, you're doing darn good. We do darn good at Jax USA because I feel like we win more than we actually lose. And so it's from the experienced team that we actually are able to hire. Let's talk about from an employment standpoint. 4.5% unemployment today. These are our July numbers, a far cry from April, May of last year, when we're actually roughly about 12% unemployment. Now, I'm still not happy. And people say, why are you not happy? Sitting at TPC in 2020, I was sitting sub 3% unemployment for this entire region. So we've had to work our way up and back down as a region to get to 4.5% unemployment. I'd love to get below 3% unemployment. We still have work to do. There's still people not back into the workforce in careers that they want. But I am certainly happy that we're 4.5% unemployment today. So what does that really mean for some of our surrounding counties? While the region is 4.5%, unemployment is still high in Putnam County. They're at 6.8% unemployment. Overall for Jacksonville itself, Duval with 4.9%, Nassau's at 4%, Clay County's at 4.2%, Baker County's at 4.4%, and St. John's is sitting at 3.6%. That's how we round out to the actual 4.5% for the actual region itself. So overall, we're happy, and I'll tell you why we're happy. Because if I look at state of Florida's unemployment rate at 5.1%, and the national average for the month of July at 5.7%, we're better than both the state and we're better than that number from a regional, from a national standpoint. But what I really like is we're better than our competitor regions in the actual state. We're better than Miami, Orlando, and Tampa. We have the lowest unemployment rate at 4.5%. So when I say this is one of the reasons why I feel like people need to come here, is that we've got a very good business environment. I feel like it's the best business environment region in the entire state of Florida, right here in Jacksonville itself. So how do we have to pivot during this time of this pandemic? A lot of things went into that. We've got a good steady pipeline and outreach that helps us be able to attract companies here and attract talented people here. But we had to do things differently from March of last year to somewhat still to this day. Even though we're in person, we still use virtual tools. We still use, as you all hear on the screen, equally as well via Zoom or one of the actual GoToWebinars type of platforms. But we had to do all of that in 2020 in order to continue to recruit companies here, recruit talented individuals to our region. We had to create our own database where we work with commercial brokers to look at buildings, do 3D tours of the building where Martha is located in the Bank of America Tower downtown with companies that may very well be looking for office space. That's quite different than me being in person talking to you about the office space instead of we're all on Zoom and doing a virtual tour. But people were still interested in this particular region. And then we created what we call Find Your Jax. FindYourJax.com. You can go on that website and find over 2,500 jobs within this 7-county region, places to live, neighborhoods, schools, arts, culture, entertainment. It is where you get indoctrinated into the First Coast, to the Northeast Florida region, so that you can really prepare yourself for living in this particular region. And it is an award-winning website for us at FindYourJax.com. Not all economic development organizations are doing just that. Density, high dense cities. You've seen where people have been moving across this country for the last 18 months, and they've been moving everywhere. And there's a reason. Talented individuals are making a decision about where they want to live. When I graduated, I am clearly Gen X. It was a clear conversation that my parents had with me. I don't care what you do, get a job, period. It wasn't a conversation about what type of job, it was get a job and do not come back home. That was clearly the conversation. You know, it wasn't, you know, that your room is here, you know, that is, you know, that's one of those Social Security safety nets, that your room is there, but they didn't expect you to exercise that safety net. So it's kind of clear, you know, the talented individuals are recognizing their worth today. Whether you own your own business and recognize that, you're making decisions about where they want to live. And they are moving out of what I call high dense populated cities to mid-tier densely populated cities such as Jacksonville. And why do I say that? It's because from April last year to March of this year, the only city that had more people moving to them than Jacksonville was Salt Lake City. And people were moving to Salt Lake City from California. That's the path. So 75 and 95, you're seeing people move out of the Midwest, people move out of the Northeast, and they're moving here. That goes back to the number I talked to you about, 900 people moving to the state of Florida every day, in between, you know, upwards to 8.5% to 9% of that number moving into your region. We're only outpaced by Salt Lake City. So when I said to you, you're discovered, you are discovered. And that's not going to change. And it's one of the reasons why you're discovered is because of your workforce. In our region, we're a region of over 1.8 million people, almost 850,000 people in our labor force right now. So you've got 2 military bases here, in Southjax, Mayport. And then when you think about Kings Bay, and you think about the Army base just outside in Fort Blanding, you've got 3,000 people that leave the military on their own accord each year. 70% of them stay within this region. So from an employee standpoint, I don't have to spend a great deal of time training you on work ethic, training you about culture. That comes ingrained in you if you're from the military from that standpoint. And it's also one of the reasons why, from a military standpoint, people request Jacksonville as their last stop, is because from a cost of living perspective, they want to live in this region. So that's why we keep a very good, talented pipeline. Also goes back to our pre-K to 12 school systems I talked to you about. Being able to have 5 of your top 25 school districts here in this region, people think about that equally as well. The median age is 39. It's less than what it is for the entire state of Florida. I would tell you that our median age would probably be the lowest in the state if Orlando didn't have 67,000 students at the University of Central Florida. You know, we can't beat that. But we are probably the second youngest region in the state. And we're also ranked number 7 as the best place for workforce confidence. Now, that's by LinkedIn. It's not what Jax USA made up. That's what people are saying about us. So when we talk about what's our strategy for the whole Jacksonville region. It's called Elevate North East Florida. This is a plan that we started roughly when I took over in 2018, and we'll create a couple of years. But we focused on our targeted industries here. And I'll talk about what those industries are, but having a very good relationships with those industries. It's also about our global brand. People don't recognize that when we're abroad, when we're in the UK, we're in France, people know Jacksonville. Greg and I will be in Jacksonville in the month of October for a business trip. We'll be there for about a week, and Greg's doing a great job of lining up probably somewhere between 15 to 20 different companies that we will talk to while we're there. But when we are there, they know who we are. They know Jacksonville. And you can give a lot of credit to ownership of the Jags that has exposed the city of Jacksonville abroad. But it's also the work that we've been doing for the last 20 plus years, but certainly with the ownership of the Jags, they've helped accelerate that and getting our name out there globally. We've got a very good growing entrepreneur and innovation ecosystem equally as well here. The only thing that I wish is that as we create more companies here, we keep those companies here. That's the one thing that I want to make sure that we focus upon. It's not enough to create the company and have the venture capital be elsewhere and take that company from Jacksonville to that particular location. So we need to work well with those in the region that are investing in private equity firms and investing in venture capital firms to make sure those companies stay here within our region. And it's also about partnering with our educational institutions and empowering them to develop the workforce that we need. This year, what we've done is we had all 7 school superintendents on a Zoom and talk to them. What I'm going to talk to you about is what are the industries that we recruit for? See, the school systems need to understand, just as our post-secondary institutions such as Kaiser, JU, UNF, FSCJ, St. John's River State College, and EW, they know what we recruit for. Pre-K to 12 needs to understand that. It's no longer acceptable that you walk across that stage with a high school diploma, but you don't have the skill sets, desire to get into any particular position training for the positions that we are bringing to this region. That does us no good, because if that person leaves pre-K to 12 at 18 and doesn't have any skills, between 18 to 25, we got some different particular person as the decisions that they make, trying to gain a footing in terms of how they're going to live their life holistically, finding the right opportunities, the right job opportunities. And so that's why it's important to have pre-K to 12 at the table, working with us as they prepare that next generation, that talented pipeline that we're actually going to need. So what positions do we, what industries do we work on? Advanced manufacturing. That is the production of a product. How many of you know the F-18 Super Hornet is produced here out of Cecil at Boeing? One person. You know the F-18 Super Hornet is what the Blue Angels fly, right? Just so that we know where it's made is here. Okay. So how many of you know that Deutsche Bank's trading floor doesn't sit in New York? It sits out at Gate Parkway. Bingo. So those type of things people need to understand about us from a regional aspect. So advanced manufacturing, as I talk about the production of a product, that's an industry that we focus upon. Financial services. FinTech is the hottest probably in financial services right now. And you got the largest FinTech company in the world right here, building a brand new headquarters over on the river in Brooklyn in FIS, sitting right here in Jacksonville. Health and biomedical. You got the best medical network in any other particular region. Don't let anybody kid you. Between Mayo, between MD Anderson, partner with Baptist, with U of Health, with St. Vincent's, with Flagler, Brooks, Memorial, you've got HCA, you've got a darn good network right here in this region of healthcare providers, for which centered around that is the medical device production of Medtronics, as well as J&J, Johnson & Johnson. 1/4 of all of the world's contact lenses are made right here in Jacksonville. So we do very well from the health biomedical standpoint. IT and innovation. When you start thinking about IT companies, Avelity, as well as Facura, IT companies, but they're healthcare IT companies, all right here in Jacksonville itself. Not to mention, used to be pharmacy.com, changed its name now, but all innovation companies spun right here out of Jacksonville. Fastest growing port on the Eastern Seaboard is Jacksport. Transportation logistics here, you reach 94 million people within 2 days of moving a product from right here in Jacksonville. That's one of the reasons why we're fastest growing from a port logistics standpoint right here in Jacksonville region. So that's why it's so important that the port was doing its dredging project to continue to get more ships coming in to Jacksonville. When I talked earlier about getting involved in public policy, last year, the state sunsetted our what we call a qualified targeted incentive from an employee standpoint of bringing their jobs here. The state took away one of our tools. The state of North Carolina just felt like the state of Florida would be out of the business of economic development. I would have to say that we've proven them wrong. However, things are good today. I just want to make sure that we stay on good footing. So we're going to continuously work with the state to educate them that economic development is like the OK Corral. And I can't go and fight with a knife. So when we're having conversations, more so locally, is what the state was doing, we're asking local government to do more of what the state was doing. That has a lifespan. I'll be frank with you. So we need to get the state back to doing the things that they were doing before COVID hit to help us continue to be effective and competitive against states such as Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Alabama. They've never seen a check that they didn't feel like writing in those respective states. So from a competitive standpoint, we want to make sure that we remain competitive against them. Year to date, when I look at some of the announcements that we've had just this year, the Jax USA team has been able to have 13 announcements, which means 13 companies bringing over 2,100 jobs to this region. And those 13 companies, private capital investment that they will be making will be over $900 million this year. Tonight at City Council, the City Council will take up. One is called Project Endgame. It is a fintech company that will bring 673 jobs to Jacksonville, average wage in excess of $85,000. They will be making a $4.5 million capital investment that will be taking office space here in downtown. Project Blue, which is an advanced manufacturing company, will be bringing 32 jobs, but they will be making a $70 million region. So just those two projects, once they're approved tonight by City Council, year to date, at the end of August, will be over 2,800 jobs and $975 million in private capital investment. And we're not even done for this year just yet. So if I look at where we are, if I took just COVID alone, 2020 and through 2021, 29 announcements, over 4,300 jobs, over $1.6 billion in capital investment. And that number will grow after approvals, hopefully this evening, by the Jacksonville City Council. Not bad from having to go to working at home. Some of us luxury, the luxury of working outside your backyard and things of that nature. Still trying to do business recruitment, still bringing companies to our region itself. So when I say workload, Greg can attest to this, 63 active projects that we got going on right now. Of that 63, 17 are what we call hot prospects, which means we're somewhere in that top 5, and I'm trying to be number 1. And if we're able to land them all of the 17, that's an additional 1,500 jobs, which would be an additional $342 million in capital investment from those companies. Does not include the 673 and the 32 I talked to you about that will get approved this evening. That's just additional particular projects. So on average, we've gone from seeing calls a month, maybe 4 to 5 different calls a month, to you're seeing 7 and 8 different calls per week. So when I said to you, Jacksonville's been discovered, that's the workload that the team has right now at Jax-USA. So areas of growth that you're going to see continue to grow for us. You're going to see the continued growth in the e-commerce section. That is not stopping. I guarantee you, every 15 minutes in your neighborhood, you see a prime truck roll through. Okay, that ain't gonna stop. Yeah, this gentleman said at his house. Yeah, probably not you. Yeah, your wife too. Yeah. So that's not gonna change. Okay, that convenience is there. You know, the ability to online shop at Publix and you don't never have to leave. All of that convenience that we had during COVID, that's not going away. All right, so that whole e-commerce is going to continue to thrive. We have such tremendous opportunity in biotech and life sciences here because of the region's medical facilities I talked to you about. That's going to continue to grow for us as well. The return to office space is going to be tricky. That hinges upon how well the healthcare pandemic centered around COVID gets under control. So that will hinge in keeping office space vacancy will remain where it is. Hopefully it will go down as more people come back to the office, but that is the one issue that we can't really get our arms around on the office space side, is how that pandemic will be under control. And so we're seeing those particular projects, some of them being placed on hold. So that's why I said to you, biotech, life sciences, advanced manufacturing, advanced transportation logistics, those sectors are going to continue to thrive. Being in office space, what your conversation right now is, do I leave my office space per square foot per person the same, or do we have to increase the square foot per person? They don't know what to do. So the companies are punting that conversation and working with their commercial brokers and landlords to basically take 1-year options to keep kicking that can down the road before they actually lock in. So that's what we're actually seeing in the actual marketplace right now. What's important for us is downtown. Every city that I told you that we compete against, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Nashville, Charlotte, if I look at them from a downtown aspect, from young individuals where they really want to live, that urban environment is important to them. We've got some very good projects on the board for us. Whether it's River's Edge, down the street here on the South Bank, whether it's Four Seasons Hotel, the shipyards and their business, the office building, whether it's the renovation of the Trio, whether it's the public space for the former landing site and FIS's building. Everything that's on the board that the Downtown Investment Authority has as a proposed project no longer needs to be proposed, it needs to be an implemented project. That momentum needs to be the same. I moved back here to the state of Florida, to Jacksonville in 2013. Between 2013 and 2021, the difference in Tampa today, that 8-year spurt, is phenomenal because they didn't look like that in 2013. If you remember if you remember the Republican National Convention being there in 2012, what you see today was not there. That growth has all taken place since then. And why did they do it? It was to curb the brain drain of talented individuals living in that region, moving elsewhere. And we have to do the same. Because if you want to see your grandkids, you want to see your kids come back, we need to make sure that we provide them with the same amenities that they can get in those other regions that we compete against. That's why the development of downtown is so important. So trends to watch for: downtown redevelopment, vacancy deployment, the vaccine deployment, office vacancy, the return to work, Florida's appeal to businesses as well as talent. Our housing to wages ratio, we really got to watch that. As you've seen, the housing cost has really gone up during COVID. It's because people moving out of high-density locations come with money, and they want Rick to build them a house with a pool. That's all they care about. So they can get their kids out of the house, send them outside in the backyard. That's what they're looking for. And I know it's good for Rick from that business standpoint. Jacksonville's diversity demographics are changing equally as well. I don't have to speak about it. You can just look at what the census was for 2020, and you see as a region, we are changing. So these are the trends for you to actually watch. Thank you. Sure. Someone here, someone there, then the gentleman. All right.
I think most, or if not all of us in this room would say Jacksonville, Northeast Florida is a great place to be in. Question I would have for you is, when you're talking with entities about coming here and you don't win that, they go somewhere else. What is the one thing or things that you feel or they feel are the negatives or the weaknesses other than a rookie quarterback and a questionable offensive line?
Offensive line ain't questionable. Okay, let's be clear about that. That ain't questionable.
Trying to be nice.
No, I'm just being factual. Okay, I'm in the business intelligence. Sometimes we don't know, sir. But if I get close enough to really have a real conversation, for that respective company, it gets down to the two factors that I talked to you about in the presentation itself, which is what they need from a workforce standpoint, can they get it? And from a site aspect, is the site that we're proposing better than the site where they chose to go to? So it's gonna be on one of those two particular factors. I never believed that we lose on quality of life. I don't believe that none whatsoever, but it's gonna be one of those two earlier factors that I talked to you about is the reason why we actually lost. I think that we compete on an incentive standpoint. You know, I'm a Kenny Rogers type of person. If North Carolina's about to write you $100 million check, I'm gonna fold quickly, and I'm gonna tell you they're not gonna give you a break on your taxes. So they're just giving you the money up front for you to pay it back over time. You get with your accountant, you all figure out how you want to do. But that's how we really are. But if we lost something, I feel like we probably lost it based upon if they need 50 to 75 cybersecurity analysts, and I've got in my region, I need 50 to 70 cybersecurity analysts for my entire region, and they need 50, that company, I'm probably gonna lose it. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, just curious, you know, there was a lot of talk about Lot J, that never happened. Shipyards 10 years ago, they were gonna rebuild that never happened. Do you see anything that's gonna have a definitive groundbreaking ceremony in the next 5 years? I mean, it seems like all these projects come up to change downtown and nothing ever happens. You know, stadium's been there forever, it hasn't been renovated. The surrounding areas, there's always talks about renovating it, never happens.
Sure.
Aquarium never happened. Like,
So having done that job, I can tell you, I had a different philosophy than most. I don't really care what the pictures look like. I only care if your equity partner's at the table and do you have the money to do the deal. And I know the difference if you're shopping to get an incentive package from me to go find an equity partner. I know it's going to take some time for that deal to get done. But if you come with the equity partner at the table, the likelihood of that deal getting done gets done. So I'll have to worry about the Guana Investments finding an equity partner because I can look on the Forbes list and tell you where that equity partner is.
so the Four Seasons is definitely there.
That's taking place. All right, not worried about that, none whatsoever. And that's how you look at all of the actual deals. Now, at the end of the day, follow the money. You know, does the project have the financial backing to get it done? Related Group is going to build where River City Brewing Company was. Look, I've known George Perez for my 12 years of being in Miami. There ain't a doubt in my mind that the deals get done. So the deals that you're seeing come forward, you ask yourself, is the equity partner there for the deal to get done? If so, you know the deal's going to get done. There's not a project that I feel like won't get done because I know the money's there to get it done. Now, it's about execution. Do they have the infrastructure to get the project done? That's where you also have to look at on the deal structure. So I'm confident that what I'm seeing right now, continuously coming out of Downtown Investment Authority is going to get done. I know that people feel like it should be done a heck of a whole lot faster than it is. Okay, that's fair, that's fine. But I'm telling you that from an equity standpoint, take you. If you know you're going to get a 12% rate of return on your money in Tampa and an 8% rate of return on your money in Jacksonville, you figure out where you're going to deploy your capital. Those are the same conversations that's going on when people deploy money. So we've now gotten to a place where we're able to compete on rents and things of that nature. So people's projects will move a heck of a whole lot faster. Right? Yes, sir.
Two more questions.
All right, him and Mr. Harold.
Sort of a two-part question. I'll give you the big one
Sure.
first. So I'm looking at your name, Jax USA Partnership.
Yes.
And then that statistic that you gave, Salt Lake City first,
Mhm.
Jacksonville second.
Mhm.
So let's say you're dealing with CEO, shareholders, and they say, boy, we're coming.
Mhm.
And you think, this is great. This is somebody we want. And the rest of the conversation is, but we've decided we're going to St. Johns County. We're going to park there. We're going to be there. Is that the partnership part?
Yes.
And part of the question of the Jacksonville thing was that Jacksonville, Salt Lake City, was that Duval County or was that North Florida?
That's the region.
Okay.
So the answer to your question is this. Our job is to get the company interested in this region, and they tell us where they want to be. So we're going to provide them all multiple sites in all 7 counties if the counties have sites. Let's be frank. If it's an office building project, it's probably a 99.9% chance it's probably going to come to Jacksonville because that's where your Class A office space is. But if it's a manufacturing project, it'll be somewhere within the region. But I need to get them interested in this region holistically.
Do you have good partnerships? Do you feel like you get support from the
Yes.
surrounding county?
We do. And don't get me wrong. They all want the jobs to go their location. There is that I do have to do the matrix. I do have to make sure I keep everyone within the region happy and keep them together, but at the end of the day, as I say to them, you're better off working together than you are competing. Because if you compete, you will not win. I've done that before. Mr. Harold, last question. I'm sorry.
Earlier, you made a comment about the 4.5% unemployment, how proud you were hoping 3.
Mhm.
And yet that seems to be contradictory to your top line of you need available workforce. How do those two not, unless you're robbing Peter to pay Paul?
If I lose a project, it's about the specific workforce that they need. So everybody, no matter what the region is, has a shortage of people from a STEM background, period. So we're going to be competing for those particular individuals holistically all the time. So it's a matter of if they feel like Jacksonville, you may have the same people as Tampa may, but I might be able to get them cheaper in Tampa than I have to pay for them here. So those things come into, remember, it's not only that you have the employees, it's the availability of the employees, but it's the cost of those employees equal as well. Those 3 things come into play. Right. Thank you.
We have made a donation. Whoops, I touched the keyboard. We have made a donation to the Rotary Foundation and the eradication of polio in your name, and we thank you again.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank
you. Reminders, first of all, thank you guests and visitors for being with us today. Next week, our speaker will be someone whose name I do not know yet. But I will, and so will you. As we end our Rotary meeting, please join me in the Rotary motto.
Service above self, one profit, those who serve best.
Right.